Early one morning, a crowd drags a woman into a stone courtyard. She is terrified, caught in a capital offense and facing execution. But her accusers aren't actually interested in justice. She is bait. They're using her life to set a lethal trap for a teacher. This is the famous story of the woman caught in adultery, found at the beginning of John chapter 8. But if you look at the oldest surviving biblical manuscripts, the earliest handwritten copies of the gospel, the story is missing. For centuries, scholars have noted its absence from the most ancient records. Even so, this narrative bridges a tangible human crisis with the abstract debates over truth and identity that follow. It provides a grounded starting point for the intense theological arguments that fill the rest of the text. The scene takes place at the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Jesus has just arrived from the Mount of Olives at dawn, and people are already gathering in the courtyard to hear him teach. The religious leaders interrupt him to present the accused woman, engineering a precise legal dilemma. The law of Moses demands she be stoned. If Jesus agrees with the execution, he abandons his message of mercy. If he lets her go, he publicly violates the religious law of his people. The Pharisees make the woman stand in front of the entire crowd. They loudly announce she was caught in the act of adultery and demand a sentence based on Mosaic law, trying to force a public error. Jesus doesn't answer. Instead, he bends down and begins to write on the ground with his finger. The silence builds as the accusers continue to press for a decision. In the book of Exodus, God wrote the 10 Commandments, the very laws these men are quoting, with his own finger. By tracing characters into the dust, Jesus mirrors the act of divine authorship used to create the law in the first place. Finally, he stands and tells them, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." The challenge dismantles the mob. Confronted by their own flaws, the accusers leave one by one, starting with the oldest. Left alone with the woman, Jesus asks if anyone is left to condemn her. When she says no, he replies, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on do not sin again." This forgiveness does not excuse the wrongdoing. Instead, it serves as an invitation for total transformation. Turning back to the remaining crowd, Jesus declares, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." He claims to be the only source of spiritual direction. The Pharisees immediately attack his credibility. They point to legal standards requiring 2 independent witnesses to confirm a fact, arguing that Jesus' testimony about himself is legally invalid. Jesus counters that his testimony is valid because he knows his origin and his destination. He explains that his words are backed by the Father who sent him, and that the Pharisees are blinded by purely human standards of judgment. The debate shifts when Jesus addresses those who have begun to believe him. He tells them that if they hold to his teaching, they will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. The crowd takes offense, claiming their descent from Abraham guarantees they have never been slaves to anyone. They are focused on physical lineage and national pride. Jesus clarifies that he is talking about spiritual bondage, the condition of being controlled by your own sin. He tells them that anyone who commits sin is a slave to it, regardless of their family tree. Freedom cannot be inherited through ancestry, religion, or rule-keeping. It comes only through an active relationship with the Son. Hostility escalates. The religious leaders resort to personal attacks, calling Jesus a Samaritan and accusing him of being possessed by a demon. Jesus offers an uncompromising rebuttal. He points out that their desire to kill him proves they are aligned with the devil, whom he calls the father of lies, rather than God. The outrage grows when Jesus claims that whoever obeys his word will never see death. The crowd takes him literally, pointing out that even Abraham and the greatest prophets died. They demand to know who he thinks he is. Jesus looks at the crowd and says, "Before Abraham was born, I am." The phrase "I am" connects directly to the name of God revealed in the Old Testament. By using it, Jesus makes an undeniable claim to eternal divinity. The reaction is immediate. The crowd recognizes the claim to divinity and picks up stones to execute him for blasphemy. Jesus manages to slip away, but his words force a choice. He has moved the conversation from a question of mercy to a question of his own eternal identity. This historical account still speaks to the modern world. It asks how often we stand in the crowd holding stones of judgment while remaining blind to our own flaws. Modern status, religious heritage, and outward behavior often provide a false sense of security. Yet the text highlights a deeper reality. Sin is an internal slavery that pride cannot hide. The narrative arc of John 8 presents a Savior who offers mercy in the dust, while demanding absolute alignment with the truth. The escalating debate in the temple courtyard leaves no middle ground. The text forces a decision. Either his words are a delusion, or he is truly the eternal I Am. Your answer to that question dictates your personal freedom. It requires dropping the stones, stepping into the light, and accepting the truth.